Okay, so let's even, well, I don't think I'll bother with the slideshow view, but anyway, so thank you. This is a quick touch point. Well, not a quick, this is a touch point to kind of catch up. The first thing that I want to do is express my thanks to the mentors, all of you who stepped up and helped out with those SOA calls. Um, I had meant to count how many calls and how many hours and how many people, but I didn't. I just didn't have the wherewithal to do it this weekend. But we have completed all of the calls, and they were fantastic. The work was great. The outcomes are great. Yes, thank you. Really appreciate the time and effort that you all um, spent with the colleges, and I think that this is going to be a fantastic addition going forward to helping supporting colleges as they move forward in their work with their My Start to Finish, My Best, and Guided Pathways work. So thank you so much, and that's not the only thank you that you will receive, but that's the first one. So we're going to talk about the next steps on the SOAs and how we're going to start moving forward with following up with the colleges. We're going to have a little discussion about kind of what Katie and I have been having a lot of conversation about the roles of mentors and kind of some expanded involvement and mission for mentors. And then we'll go over a bunch of upcoming opportunities that I wanted to share with all of you. And then we'll have some time for open discussion. So that's our agenda for today. Let's see, go ahead and start with the next step for the SOAs. And I think I sent all of you a link to this spreadsheet that I created with Precious's help. I'm going to share that.
I already put it in the chat, Jenny.
Oh, thank you. Good. Then I won't worry about doing that. Okay. But I'm going to show it to you here anyway. If you haven't had a chance to look at it, you should have a link to it. Everyone with the link should be able to edit it. And this is what it looks like. It's a Google form. And it has this summary page that has all of the initiatives, a mark if the college is participating or participated in the SOA call, and kind of a guess at like what area the goals that the college is expressed in. So you can kind of see with a glance at this, it's kind of interesting to see where people are looking to focus in terms, sort of answer to the question, what are you working on in the next 6 to 12 months? So we have, it was particularly interesting, the My Best, that there was a lot more focus on getting access and providing the support than it was for identifying the student needs. And I thought that was really very interesting. But it may be that I just read that wrong. So I will let Precious
No, that's accurate, Jenny. And I think the Trellis survey had a lot to do with it. A lot of colleges were ready to get their Trellis results back because they feel that that will help them better understand their students, and they have
okay.
on it. And they're revamping a lot of their screening processes as well when students are entering the institution. So I think that helps them.
Good. So then what I did is I went for each initiative into a detail, and I dropped the goals, and Precious did this for My Best, dropped the goals into this column here that says goals from the 2020 DSOA. And then I've got columns for mentor updates. So what I am hoping, and here's the one for financial stability, and then also guided pathways. So what I am hoping that you will do is as mentors is to go into this spreadsheet and claim at, one or more of these goals. And it doesn't matter what college, and it, probably, not your own college, but otherwise it doesn't matter what college, but, and I'm not gonna require that everybody take a bunch of them or give you a number that I'd like you to take. My goal would be that every college would get a follow-up on one of their goals from at least one of the initiatives in the first 3 months of the year. And then we'll kind of continue from there. But you can see, so what I did here, like I took Jackson, and I said that I'm going to I'm going to help them create a brief on their prereq audit. So I just put my initials here. Heads up to Ashley, coming for you with that brief. It's going to happen. But that's what I'm going to ask you all to do, is just to go in there and take a look and see what you might want to help a college with. And then what you'll do after you've done that is to follow up with the college. And if you need help, if you need an email address for the lead to contact or whatever, I will make that available. Actually, maybe I should make a tab in the spreadsheet for the college leads. What do you think, Precious?
I think that's a good idea, Jenny.
Yeah. Okay. So then you can at least have a starting point to reach out to. Questions so far on this? Does this seem like a logical way to go about it?
Yeah.
I think that it's very logical. I have a question, I guess. It would be okay, I assume, for the update to be college is still working, or like if they don't necessarily have any hard and fast data to share, progress made, even that's just the fact that we're reaching out is kind of the goal of the goal.
That is the goal. And yes, to do a quick just a quick touch base, if they have any progress to share, or if there's any way, you also can prompt them to see if they want to continue meeting, if they want to meet again, but they don't, that's not required. And then what I have is other in other Google Doc land. Let's do this. Let's do it. I have, and let's see, I don't think anybody, Lindsay is on, who did the mentor-mentee reflection process with Washtenaw, when you did the Washtenaw. Right, so there are forms, there are Google Forms that are accessible to you through the Canvas document. The Canvas site, let's see, let's stop share and I'll bring up Canvas. So if you end up having a deeper engagement with the college, where you meet with them again and you end up making some plans with them or helping them to develop some plans. Okay, go back to sharing. Then you would use these reflection forms. Let's see. Worksheets for mentors, Google Forms for mentors. So it's when it opens in a new window, can you see it? Probably not.
I think we can, Jenny, if it's in the same
we can
browser.
see it.
Yeah. It was
Can you?
kinda-
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's in the same browser.
Okay. Okay, so you can see here there's a mentor self-reflection on the mentoring experience where you fill that out just quickly. And I don't want this to be onerous for you. I want this to be as simple as possible, but it's really pretty, what what did you do? What did you talk with them about? And then who did you talk to? And then I will make sure that to direct them again, if you should direct them again to the mentee one, but I will follow up with them and ask for it. But, here's your name, a little Likert scale stuff, some comments. It's a pretty, it's so that is what you would use. If you don't have to use that every time you call a college, if you're just calling them to check in, you can just use the mentor notes in the spreadsheet. But if you end up having a deeper conversation, or if there's anything that you want to capture more that you feel like is more than you would just put in a couple of phrases on the spreadsheet, go ahead and use this form.
Jenny, a quick question.
Yeah.
Were there, I don't think probably it is the case, but were there any colleges who objected, just to follow up sometime soon? I know you asked this question at the very end of the meeting, and from my recollection, none, but I don't know if there were any colleges who said they wanted more time before they get back to us.
Yeah, no, no one said that they didn't. There was one or two calls who specified what they did want to be followed up on and what they didn't want to be followed up on. And in that case, I didn't capture the goal. So I just didn't. So every goal that's captured, people indicated that they were okay with receiving a follow-up on that. And again, that it's just a light touch. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, actually, is what would be some good timelines for goal selection and follow-up. What do you guys think? I didn't think we'd do anything until, obviously we won't do anything till after the first of the year. I think, but you guys could start selecting your goals anytime.
Good question.
Yes.
And this is more about like the form. So I've actually had a couple of follow-up things that happened organically, both with Henry Ford and Muskegon. So I didn't know if should that, like, since it wasn't like necessarily like triggered by the call, but they asked for curriculum and things that I've done. So
if you would actually be willing to fill out the form, part of the purpose for all of this form is not only so we create kind of a repository of what we're doing, but obviously there's some accountability for the grant funds that we're getting. So the more information that I can share with JFF, the better. So yes, that would be fantastic. Other questions?
I'm just going to say that I'm very impressed that you guys were able, to summarize a 14-page document into 3 or 4 sentences. It's not easy. I can see that.
No, it was, well, I actually was kind of dreading doing it. But at the end, my experience of popping the goals into the spreadsheet was not as hard as I thought it was going to be.
Wow.
Just checking here. This part of the conversation is going a little bit, yeah, it did get easier, right? This part of the conversation is going quicker than I had anticipated, so that's fantastic. So thoughts, when do you think, what should we, I just wanted to type it in so that, like, when should we start the follow-up calls, do you think?
I would suggest, I'm just looking at when our semester begins, and I don't know if it's similar for other institutions, but sometime after the semester begins, give people some time to settle in. So I'm thinking maybe later in January. Like
3rd week of January?
Yeah. I would agree. That's kind of when things sort of like take a mini settle down.
Yeah, if there is going to be settled down,
right.
Yeah.
It's a quick breath, but.
Can agree from the faculty side that we do get a little bit of a lull and then it.
Yeah.
But I know, my school, the semester doesn't begin till just the 2nd week of January. I don't know if that would allow enough time, just probably allow a little bit more time. I was thinking probably February or mid-semester.
Okay. Well, so how about we say that we are going to begin by the end of January, but early February is also okay. Does that sound all right? So that gives you time then to identify the goals that you want to follow up on, like by like say the second week of January. If I could look at the spreadsheet and you'd have your ideas in there. Okay. Terrific. And then we will have another touch point actually in the first part of March, on March 8th. I've tentatively scheduled that for. So then that'll be a good time to kind of reflect on what to do next with these materials. So then you'll know, like, if you're ready by March 8th to talk about what you've done, then you're good to go. All right. Cool. Katie, we're into the next session and the talking about the expanded involvement / mission for mentors.
And I'm ready to get started on that. I am making lunch for, I have lunch lady duties today.
Sure. Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. So I can start. I can start.
Yeah. Why don't you share? I have 2 minutes left on the microwave and then I'll be ready.
All right. What's for lunch, Katie?
My son Nico loves this stuff. He calls it creamy soup. It's Campbell's pub style chicken pot pie soup.
Oh, nice. Very
Big fan for the first grade. Yeah.
Yes.
First graders love creamy soup.
All right.
So I'll get him going and then I'll be right back, guys.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So Katie and I have been having a lot of conversation about this group as I have said at the beginning of this meeting, and we kind of have been sort of looking at the different kinds of roles for mentors. And these are not, I think that all of these have a, kind of a Venn diagram aspect to them, but I see sort of three separate things that we think mentors do. And one is the reform support and change management, which is kind of captured in this SOA work. And there's a little bit of other stuff coming up that I will invite you into. Bless you, Lindsay. And then this idea of taking leadership of our digital engagement, which, kind of captured in the tweet chats that many of you have been participating in. And I see some of you becoming more active on Twitter as, and as part of this work. So that's been fantastic. And then equity champions, taking, kind of a leading role on your own campus and in the initiatives that you're supporting, this focus on equity that we're hoping to build more of. And it's a lot of work, especially for a group of volunteers. And so another thing that Katie and I have been talking about is how we might expand this group in terms of, sort of reaching out to more people who might be interested in this. I think that we kind of landed on kind of a snowball strategy, which is to invite you to nominate your colleagues that you work with either at your institution or at other institutions. We do want to expand the number of institutions who are supplying mentors, so we don't have, we don't become like really top heavy with mentors from some institutions, but that's okay too, because some, there are some groups of change leaders who cluster at certain colleges. So that's okay. So what do you think of that? Are you willing to reach out to one or two colleagues and invite them into the mentoring group?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Okay.
And I'm back. The soup
Okay.
has been delivered.
That's good. Do you want to talk more about these
Sure.
other roles, particularly the digital leadership and the
Sure.
equity champions? Yeah.
Sure. And I'm taking some cues from Jenny and not formalizing too much what I have in mind because I don't want it to be oppressive. We particularly related to the digital leadership piece and the equity champions piece, frankly, we want this to be an opportunity for professional development for those of you that are interested in those strands of work. So I don't want, neither one of us want to force anyone to commit to every single thing we might do under those various strands of work. But I know some of you are really interested in that, or you might have colleagues who you could bring to the table who would strengthen our collective work around those strands. And I think that that's an opportunity to bolster what we've been doing and kind of go into the next level, particularly with the digital leadership stuff. Am I supposed to talk about that yet, Jenny, or not yet? Like the stuff that we're
We
planning?
can talk about it in the next,
Okay.
when the slide
Okay.
comes up. Yeah.
So we have some new things that we want to try with digital leadership, and it won't be much different from what it was in the past, where we ask you to show up and meet us online, whether it's through Twitter or we're going to try to do some things with LinkedIn moving into the new year. So again, an opportunity just for professional development. We think it's a great possibility for expanding just network engagement kind of across the board, the digital leadership piece, if you will. The idea of expanding the mentor group for me comes from a couple of things that I've been noticing as I've sort of felt like a voyeur, like I'm standing back and watching you guys do all of this, and it's been fun and fascinating and maybe a little creepy to describe it that way, sorry. But I see so much value in all of you connecting with one another. One of the things that I think MCSS has struggled with, and hopefully I'm not digging out dark secrets here, but the idea of mentoring is not something that people often seek out or don't recognize that they want or need individualized mentoring. So to me, if we expand our network, it expands the opportunity for people to get mentoring that's not formalized, right? It expands the opportunity for us to have casual conversations with one another, for us in a Zoom during a tweet chat to say, oh, I didn't know you were doing that. Can we talk offline about it? My hope is that it just expands the idea holistically of network engagement. And I think all of that is mentoring, truly, but I do think that there is some sort of psychic hangup. And there is a lack of awareness for some people who probably really need the mentoring to come to the table and say, I want to have a mentoring conversation with you. So if we provide other opportunities for people to get together and talk across campus or across departments, across functional areas, it seems like it will create more of those, like Sean said, organic opportunities kind of to follow up with people. So that's another one of our goals in expanding the mentorship. Plus, as you guys know, Michigan is very contextualized. You guys, this is such a large state. We have such an interesting governance structure, and everybody's locales have so many differences in the ways that your work is operationalized that it just creates an opportunity to keep good synergy and good ideas flowing. So I would say that that's where I'm at with all of that. With regard to equity championship, this is something that we have talked a lot about. And some of you know that we did these tweet chats on equity, and we had some really interesting conversations in our Zoom sessions with those of you who joined us. Because we don't want to do something separate for equity. It's not something separate. It is embedded in and at the center of most of the work that we do at the Center for Student Success. And I think most of the work that many of you do on your own campuses. So we are looking for advice and input from you all on colleagues to connect with who work potentially in that space. So if you guys have a diversity, equity, and inclusion director or someone like that on your campus, we are hoping to connect with those folks, not because we think we have anything to offer them per se, but we just want them to know that we're here and that I am very interested in, Jenny and I talked about this at the end of last week, in hearing what's already happening, what they're already doing, and how we can support them, both by using the same language so that we're all talking about the same things when we're talking about equity, but also to help them understand the major reform efforts that are already happening and how equity could be more pronounced in those efforts, if you will. So I ramble. That's what I have to say about that. So as Jenny said, we're looking for your nominations. We have a few ideas of people that we might reach out to add to the network of mentors. We have 28 colleges in Michigan, and then every one of them has something great to share. I won't pretend to believe that we will have mentors from every 28, all of the colleges, because I don't know that that's practical, but wouldn't it be cool if we did? And wouldn't it be great if we had an opportunity to learn from each other across the state in that regard? So as much as we do want to hear about your colleagues on your own campuses who are doing great work and could connect to what we're doing, we also have space for people from other campuses that are less represented that we would love to hear your input on as well. Did I speak out of turn, Jenny?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. You basically have said what we said in our conversation. So I think we're cool.
Cool. What questions or thoughts do you guys have? Any reactions to that?
Do these seem like the right roles?
I'll say I love the idea of trying to get a representation from all of our community colleges in the state of Michigan. I think that's the right goal to have. I just on some of the calls I've been on to be able to see some of the differences in other institutions has been, you know, eye-opening to me, and also just to see the different range of services from institution to institution. I agree that having them at the table when we're having some of these conversations is valuable. And then also, like Sean and Katie mentioned, just, you know, the networking opportunities that come from it. A lot of times I've seen where one college may benefit from looking at what this college is doing. So I just think it makes sense to have as many representatives from those respective colleges at the table. So I'm willing to reach out if that's helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think it is helpful. We would love to see this not necessarily be completely self-organizing because we don't want to put that administrative pressure on any of you, but to the extent that we can let you guys kind of handle the narrative and help us with the why, right? Mm-hmm. That is really helpful.
I wonder, I have a couple of things that came to mind immediately. One, and I know that there had been some back and forth about the use of the word mentor, maybe versus coach or versus something else. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of value in referring to this as a network. And whether it's like network engagers or something like that, I can think of people at my campus who have a lot of really valuable input and would be beneficial, but they would maybe shirk away from viewing themselves as a mentor. They're going to feel like they haven't been doing it long enough, that they're not really as integral of a piece maybe as if they compare themselves to someone who they know is a mentor. So I'm thinking for some of the up and comers, maybe if there's, and perhaps that's just the way that we kind of pitch it to each of our own institutions in sort of knowing who you're talking to and what your audience is. But I think there's maybe something there in terms of the language or the vernacular of it. One other thing, and this is related to equity specifically, we are very much diving into our equity data and completion rates and programs of study and things like that. But what looms over us is, okay, it's one thing to know that about ourselves, but how is everyone else doing? And so I'm wondering if there's something within our network engagement where we can, whether it is data sharing or some kind of something, whereas we're helping each other have those conversations at our institutions, that there's, I think benchmarking always is helpful. I don't know the best way maybe to phrase that or go about that, but that was something that came to mind as well.
Well, that's something. Oh,
go ahead, Jenny. Sorry.
No, I was going to say we can talk. We'll flip ahead a little bit to the when we get to the slide about the listening session, we can talk about how ideas for how we can do that. Yeah, right. I mean, there's a million equity tools for people to fill out. We're going to actually hear about some of them in the next slide, you know, from the point of view of coaching for equity. But yes, you're right. It would be nice for us to have an equity, a kind of a shared understanding of what's going on across our colleges. I think that's true.
Well, and I have two reactions to what you said, Ashley. Number one is, let's not pull everybody into the mentor circle, but let's think about how those people that you just described that you work with and who are maybe up and coming change agents could be used in a different way. And I hate to use the term used because it makes me sound like I'm trying to use people and I'm not. But one of the things Jenny and I have talked about related to equity is, could we do this listening session is something that I'm really interested in doing, maybe asking the diversity, equity, and inclusion officers on the campuses, giving them the space to talk to us, to tell us how we can support them or what they're already doing. We walk a fine line with not being experts in this, but being passionate advocates for it. So we certainly want to stay in our lane there. But we also talked about doing something where you guys could maybe do some spotlights, and so you might be able to pull those people in, Ashley, that you're describing, and share how, in a short presentation or a short video even, how you guys are working together to do something, to any kind of goal. It could be an equity goal, or it could be the transfer work that I know that you guys are organizing as well, bureaucratically and such. Doing little spotlights like that, so that you guys as the mentors would kind of be in the central role of planning that, but then you would be able to help your colleagues see how those things become actionable on your campuses. Specifically related to equity, we were thinking of doing a book club, but everybody's doing that, and we don't have, that's not our role to facilitate something like that. But if we could do short 10-minute presentations where you guys talk about the book circles that are already happening on your own campuses related to equity topics, then maybe that gives ideas to the network, right, of other things that could happen. And then it gets me off the hook of having to read another book right now.
Well, not that we don't want to read the books, and we would like to read the books with you, but yes, I hear, more and more I'm hearing, when we say we were thinking about having everybody read this book, and people will pipe up and say, oh yeah, we're all reading that already on my campus, or we already read that. And so I'm wondering if, we could, kind of capitalize on that and have people talk about how is that playing out? How is it working on the campus? And I know, maybe you're just getting started, or it's not, happening yet or into the new year, but that's a kind of a longer term goal. Yes. And as far as the terminology, Ashley, you're spot on with the terminology, and it's very difficult to figure out the right word. And I know that we have some of our partners actually because I was so worried that it was going to take so long to get through the content, I didn't have everyone on the meeting introduce themselves. So I want to give a moment for Allison Kadlec from SOVA, and Katie Kovacic, who have been on our other meetings, but I wanted to give them a moment to see are there other states that are struggling with the terminology around coaching, mentoring? What do you call a person who helps you lead change?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think, yes, I think in the places where language around mentoring and coaching is being used, it carries some baggage that needs some explaining around it, because it signals that the people doing the coaching and mentoring are in possession of special knowledge about how to make all the magic happen. When in fact they're supportive peers who are doing excellent work, but who haven't figured it all out. And so can be there to provide guidance, can be there to provide counseling, sort of therapy. But it's really hard to find another term that works. I think mentors is better than coaching, because I think coaching also, for the colleges that have been involved in ATD or in other things, they have their own associations with that word. I think it's used more often in different places. So I think that one's a little bit tricky. At the same time, I think what you're all talking about now and what you're doing, sort of showing up on these calls, showing up at institutions in this way, having those informal connections, Sean, as you were talking about, those are things that build a sense of understanding about what it means, like what mentor means for folks. And so I think as you keep at it, you'll just, I think it'll just get easier and easier as that generalized network builds and grows. But I would say the places that are having less difficulty with nomenclature are the ones that are using language like, and I'm going to try to dig it up here. I have some of these on my calendars because they're things that are like, sort of like peer support, or yeah, I guess that's the kind. I'll look to see if I can find other specific terms, but where it's more like peer, I don't know. But anyway, so mentoring, I think I don't think you're going to run into problems forever with this, but I think that any language is a little bit tricky because this is sort of an odd thing that you're trying to convey that you're doing, right? You're not you don't have all the answers. You're not coming to tell anybody at another college what to do, but you can absolutely be a sounding board. You can help them learn from what you're doing. You can help them learn from what you're learning about other colleges, right? So anyway, I don't know if this is all helpful to you, Jenny, but
it is helpful. I think one of the things, I mean, we struggled with using the term peer mentor. We wanted to potentially, you know, that we talked a lot around peer and peer support and things like that. And then we didn't want it to be confused with offering support to students, because I think there's a lot of colleges who have peer mentoring programs. In fact, we had this experience when we did a mentoring session at the Student Success Summit, where we had people turn up and they said, well, my title is mentor, so I came to this, but this is not what I do. I work with students. So, you know, it's all,
that
there's
makes a ton of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, so there's all kinds of challenges around it. Katie, Kay, do you want to offer anything from your perspective on others, other states?
And yeah, I think that, you know, every state has, you know, picks the route they're going to go on naming this work, that, you know, the people who are filling this role. And it really is, it's a matter of everyone has had to kind of define that within their colleges. And so I think that as picking the term and here picking mentors, it's just a matter of communicating. And I think, as Allison was saying, it will take time. It's maybe a little bit clunky right now, or, you know, people are like, what is that? What is that? But it's just a matter of, the more we talk about it, the more we share what it is. And as mentors, as you are, and I think, you know, this is building, kind of speaking to what Ashley was saying, as you're looking to find other people to kind of jump on your team, if you will, it's about how you talk about it. And so I think using things like, you know, network engager, or, hey, you know, if you want to, you know, I would come at it from the standpoint of, like, we are building a team, you know, so somebody that has specific skill set or experience in a certain area, you know, inviting them in to, like, be a contribution in the area where they have something to offer that's very specific and can help build the team of the change agent team. So I think it really is just a matter of a little time of continuing to talk about it and share and define it, and people will, you know, learn it over time.
Well, and you've all said something that I really want to emphasize too, not just because it's in my new title, network engagement, but I think the network is our sweet spot. Like, that's what we do. And over and over, when we ask for feedback from people on what they get out of working with us, it's the connection to you all. It's the connection to each other that is clearly one of our most important functions at the Center for Student Success. So the more we can emphasize that and the network engagement piece, which you're all describing, I think the better off we will be. And getting people to realize that we don't necessarily need them to seek mentoring. We just want them to get engaged with the network, right? And then you guys are the mentors, because we've identified you as leaders and we've established this relationship with you all. And certainly, I think, as the others are saying, it will become a natural evolution where people will be comfortable, just like we have become comfortable relying on you for your expertise in leadership. Others will see that and start to pick that up too.
Yeah, and it can be, I think what's good about this is, you know, someone may not feel like, oh, I'm not qualified to be a mentor right now, but without saying, like, hey, come be a mentor, but you draw them into this process of, like, you have this you know, this expertise to offer, will you share that and help us engage more people? Then that just kind of builds that comfort level without, like, saying, like, oh, I'm you know, I'm striving to be a mentor, but you just get a little more comfortable over time. And I wanted to say one other piece about the inviting, like, the DEI officers to be involved. I really love that that message of, let's connect, engage, and so that we can amplify the work that they're doing. I think that's really great.
Thank you. Stay tuned.
Thank you. Yes. Other thoughts on roles of mentors and expanding the group. And you can throw it in as we go on, but I'm gonna.
Yeah, Jenny, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
just this. I mean, but it's easy, to convince people that we in a decentralized, just system, educational system, just like the one we have in Michigan. If people want to make difference, we tell them, the only way to make a difference is starting and get involved in a conversation, just a network with each other, just to come up, just with solutions. So that will be, just a good way, just to invite people, to the conversation.
That's good. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. Anything else? Well, feel free to jump in if you think of something, even as we go on to another slide.
Hey, Jenny,
So,
if people,
yeah.
sorry, if people have ideas, should they just email you?
Yes.
Because I know you were thinking about starting to extend some additional invitations in the next few weeks.
I will probably not. Okay, so we've been back and forth about this. I do not know if I will send invitations before the end of the year. Probably I will do that early on in January. But if you do have ideas for people that you think we should reach out to, please let me know. As soon as you think of them.
Thank you.
Yes,
and
thank you.
So 2 asks there. One is people to be mentors like yourselves in the role that you're performing now, and then the expanded role. But also, I got a couple private messages from people on DEI officers on your campus.
Oh, great.
If you want to send those to me on private message, feel free, or email them to us. I'll create a small list. What we don't know is if those people are already meeting or if they have sort of an affinity group that would be a natural place to connect with them. So
we're working on getting that information. Yeah.
Yeah. We're trying to figure it out, but I will take names just so that we at least have that going. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess on that does anyone know, is the Mixa Deans group doing anything with that? No. Okay.
We don't know. That's, so Mixa might be a place actually for us to reach out to, Katie, and see.
Tell me what Mixa is. I should know, but
the student services officers.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I do know what that is.
Yes.
Cool.
They're they go a lot. They're kind of congruent with the MODAC and the Liberal Arts Network for Development.
Cool. We will check in with them as well. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I didn't realize when I picked this little graphic, because I was obviously working very hard this morning to fill out my slideshow, that this was a coronavirus graphic. That's interesting. But we are still dealing with it. So this change management in the face, I guess, trying to change even with the presence of COVID-19. So we have some upcoming opportunities. And as I was putting these slides together and putting the agenda together, I mean, this is a breathtaking list of things that are available to you. And so I want you to know that you are not expected to take advantage of all of these things, and that, in terms of the things that we are presenting, we'll be focused on trying to record when we can and making that available to you afterwards and kind of building our library. But if you want to and can join some of these things, around change management, we will, you probably already got invitations to sessions on January 28th and April 13th from Jen Giffels at JFF, seeing a couple of nods, about the CCRI Coaching for Equity tools. And then we're working with Katie, we're gonna do a Michigan specific session kind of in between those two. So Katie, do you want to take a minute and talk about what those are going to be like?
And you mean Katie K, right?
I mean Katie K, yes.
Thanks.
Yes. Hi, sorry. I was in the car, and of course you asked to talk to me right when I was not able to talk.
Okay. Sorry. Wouldn't you know? Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So your question, so to talk about the session that we're going to do?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, let me collect my thoughts. We will be taking some time, and I'm not sure, Jenny, have you introduced the rubric tool? So you've read it. to
I
all
have
the
not. I
members
am
on the
about
call.
to drop the link in the
Okay.
chat.
Okay. So I think we are still, we're in conversation with, with Jenny to kind of really form what we will do. But one of the things that this is what we will do. We don't know exactly which tool we want to use yet, based on the trainings that we're going to do with network wide with JFF, because we don't want to duplicate information with you all. But what we will do, our goal is to walk you through one of our tools, just how to use it from point A to the end of it, and so that you're really comfortable with kind of like boots on the ground, how you would navigate utilizing a tool in real time with a college and with yourself. Because I think some of this can be really abstract. And so that's our goal, is to just really break it down and dig in on some of this work. And if we end up, whether we do it with our individual training with you, or if it's with the network wide with JFF, our rubric tool is a really great self-assessment for the coach to use, and also to use with a college. So you can kind of see where you are on a spectrum around your equity awareness and understanding and facility in some of these skill areas. So that's kind of in a nutshell what we'll be working on with you.
So you should have an if you don't have an invitation from the JFF session, please let me know, and I will make sure that you get on their list. They send things periodically to the whole coaching group of the states that have of the Student Success Network, and then there are also some things that are happening for the states that have the second round of coaching grants. So I want to make sure that they have all of your names. So if you don't have an invitation to these sessions on the 28th and 13th, April 13th, let me know, and then I'll be following up with the invitation for the 25th. That session has been set. So I'll get you the invitation for it very soon. Then also,
could I add one other thing?
Absolutely.
I was thinking more of just the specific one that we're going to do for you guys, but just at the two in the end of January and the one in April with JFF, we'll be going over some of our other, we have a suite of 6 tools, and some of that, like one of them is just vocabulary to help people get comfortable and to norm the definitions and what we mean by certain things. So there'll be a lot of different tools and information that we're going to be covering, I guess, in the 3 sessions. So not just the one tool. And that's it.
Cool. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah.
The other thing that is going to be available, and I was hoping all weekend and all the way till about 10 o'clock this morning that maybe I would hear the dates on this and more information about the coaching certification course. But JFF and Achieving the Dream are going to be providing a virtual self-paced 5-week course that will result in a national coaching certification. So it is a thing that you can put on your resume, and you can be put on a list of coaches if for other states. If you complete this and earn the certification, and that will be they will be letting us know any minute now exactly what the dates are. I know that it's gonna, Bev, I think you're the only one who's on the call who did the original one, which was a year long, that we did a year-long coaching training, and Bev and Nathan and Paige were the 3 of our mentors who participated in that. And this will be kind of a condensed version of that, but it will result in the national certification. So hopefully some of you will take advantage of that. That is completely optional. That is not something that you need to do to continue to be one of our mentors in Michigan, but it may be something that if you have the time and the inclination to invest more in this coaching work. It does carry the possibility of being approached by another Center for Student Success if they are in need of a coach. I don't think that that's happened yet to the 3 coaches that we have listed on the registry, but you know, colleges all over the country, particularly this is was focused pretty squarely on guided pathways and transformative change. And I think it probably this one will be as well. But I think there was interesting information. Bev, did you want to say anything about being part of that course to kind of help sell it?
Only that it was so very exciting for me to participate, but what it also provided to me was a lot of resources, support, direction, structure for the work that we're doing here at Oakland Community College. And unfortunately for me, the work that we're doing with Michigan Center for Student Success has really led me to be that person for every possible partnership that we have. But it benefits, we've got our IE individuals involved. You talked earlier about, I apologize, my phone. You talked earlier about DEI work, DEI and DEI&J, as we've added, has really assisted and benefited us as we've moved through this particular process. And I'm able to pull additional resources as well as touch bases with some of my colleagues to assist me with some of the work. It just becomes an eye-opener. It has become an eye-opener for me as we begin and continue to do the work and to get others involved within the institution. So very beneficial. And I still, of course, continue to utilize the resources as well as the support and the knowledge that I was able to obtain in order to move Oakland Community College forward. So excellent.
Thanks, Bev. And so more information to come very soon on that. And then kind of in the same theme that Bev mentioned in terms of, you know, one of the things that we actually really hope is that this work will help you not only to connect with other colleges, but to support your leadership efforts on your own campus. And so the third thing on this list is to work with Allison to learn about using improvement cycles, which is something that they've been using more and more across their work in other states. And so, Allison, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, but before I do that, I will also add something about the ATD coaching, JFF coaching certification. And so you have to probably check that I haven't been involved since the beginning, but early on in the creation of that project with ATD and JFF, both of whom are part of the Pathways Collaborative, there was also the potential of ATD calling on certified coaches to serve in capacity around the country in various places. And there was initially also a sort of tacit suggestion to the rest of the Pathways Collaborative organizations that that registry could be accessed as well by other organizations in the Pathways Collaborative. And so that includes folks like ASCU and APLU and others that are doing related work. And so I just wanted to say that, you know, one of the things that's interesting about that, if you decide that you want to do that, is that becoming part of that registry, if you're tapped to serve in a coaching function, those are paid gigs. So I just want to be clear about that is an opportunity to develop some, you know, sort of, if you want to have a side gig consulting, that's a pretty good vehicle for achieving that. So I just wanted to add that. And if anything that I said, Jenny, sounds wrong or not like what it is now, because I haven't, you know, we haven't been involved in a while.
You are totally correct. I just, and I was downplaying that because I have not yet seen the registry kind of come into existence, although I know that our people have been told that they can be listed on it. So it's a potential, and it may, you know, and it may come into being in a more robust iteration soon. But I would not right now be holding my breath to think I was going to get a paid coaching gig out of it. But on the other hand, if you complete the course, you will be eligible to get one of those.
Yeah, yep,
So-
absolutely. And I know, I mean, I know ATD is on the hook because of the grant that funded the work to create that.
Yeah, they're supposed to
they need to have 100 people on a registry that can be, and the idea
Yeah.
is that individuals would be used
All right.
for coaching by organizations. Now, I'm not saying it's happened. I'm not saying it's come to fruition, but that was the intention. And they are legally obligated to put together a list of 100 people.
To at least make the registry. Yes. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I'm not suggesting it guarantees translation into paid gigs, but that it is a potential avenue, and that was the idea, I think.
And you'll be joining then kind of a national pool of people, and there maybe ATD will provide some networking opportunities for that group also, maybe.
Yep.
Now I'm telling ATD what they're doing. So, okay, better move on.
Okay, sorry. So on the improvement cycles, so as Jenny said, SOVA is using and has been, since long before we started SOVA, actually, Paul and I have been using improvement cycles in change management support work to institutions around the country. We're finding that they're particularly helpful in the age of COVID and beyond. And there are particular kinds of issues that we're finding are especially useful that relate to large scale student success work. And so this is just an opportunity to learn more about how to use, we have a very kind of stripped down, pared back, sort of utilitarian approach to improvement cycles. There's lots of people who come at this in a very formalized way, and there are some particular sort of schools of thought about the work that require a great deal of adherence to formal principles and whatnot. We have taken the sort of principles and practices and turned it into something that we use specifically with colleges and universities that are trying to do large scale change work. And so we've got a particular kind of approach. I just want to share that sort of in the same spirit that Katie said at the beginning, of her description of the CCRI. This is about just actual practical tools that you can use and that you can then help other colleges use. And so it's both to hopefully benefit you and to give you another arrow in your quiver, as it were, to help colleges think about ways that they can take big, complicated issues and break them down into bite-sized pieces to get people moving and focused amid lots of competing priorities. And it's a kind of strategy for helping overcome that terrible thing that happens where there's great meetings and great ideas, and then everybody's too busy and goes back to the rushing river of their day, and somehow everybody was responsible, so nobody was responsible and nothing happened. So this is a vehicle for getting around that.
And in terms of the scheduling, we were going to be scheduling these a little bit later in the spring, kind of waiting on when the JFF course would start so that we don't pile too much on you guys. So more to come on exactly when those sessions will be. But hopefully these will be sessions where Allison's able to present the principles, and then we're able to kind of dig into it a little bit, similar to the Michigan follow-up session that CCRI will do for us. Questions about opportunities around change management? Okay, so opportunities around digital leadership. We're going to be continuing Twitter Tuesdays, at least through March. The last Tuesday of January, February, and March. We'll continue. We're planning to continue sort of the 12 to 1 framework, and I'm going to turn it over to Katie G to talk more about digital engagement in general.
Yeah, and again, I'll ask for ideas or input. I certainly have some, but I'm always interested in hearing what you guys think we should be featuring or focusing on. We are going to keep doing Twitter Tuesdays, like Jenny said. We will continue to work on getting more people connected to us via Twitter, but we kind of think, and we got some input from a PR firm that we're working with, that perhaps LinkedIn will be another opportunity where we can start to connect with people, especially faculty, especially adjunct faculty who may use LinkedIn for kind of job searching and so on. So this is a little outside of my comfort zone because I have a LinkedIn profile, but I don't really use it very often. So I'm getting a little bit of a crash course, and Jenny and I actually had the great opportunity to talk with Dr. Josie Alquist, who wrote a book on this topic, which I just finished. And we may do some programming around it. Let's see here. There we go. Digital Leadership in Higher Education. I really enjoyed this book. And for those of you who are interested in digital leadership, there are a lot of really tangible strategies in the book. We are considering, for those of you who might want to be, Jenny's calling it an advisory circle. That's fine. A digital leadership, kind of just a digital leadership circle. If you're interested in that, please, how do we want them to tell us? Just email us, Jenny?
Yeah, just
We're asking
email.
for a lot of emails. There's going to be a lot of emails from this
Or
meeting.
you can put them all in one email if you want to.
That's fine. Put them all in one email. What I would like to do is have a smaller group discussion with those of you who might like to help brainstorm some ideas for topics or other ways to engage with people in these digital spaces. So Jenny and I sort of had a schedule and some topics in mind, but we are having a MCSS staff meeting this week, and I think we're going to talk about some more strategic approaches, if you will, to theming our engagement strategies collectively. I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh, wow.
I know,
That's
right?
quite the sentence, right?
Yeah. I've been dissertating all weekend, so this is where we are. But oh good, Sheila ordered the book. It's a great book, and she was super nice. Dr. Alquist was super nice.
She was nice.
So
yes.
Jenny and I are hoping to connect with her again, and we would really like to get you guys some FaceTime with her in some capacity. So that's something that we've been noodling on, and so those of you that might be interested, this is maybe my hook. If you're interested in the digital leadership thing, we might give you an opportunity to do something with her. She has a full suite of things that she offers. Not all of them are quite what we're looking for, but she certainly has a lot of expertise in this area. And what I like about it is that it's very specific to higher education. And she includes community college leaders almost as leaders in the space, where a lot of other industries, obviously, as you guys know, discount the good work being done at community colleges or just don't talk about it. So I really appreciate that she's got us on her radar. Dr. Steve Robinson is front and center in the book. He's actually featured, and so he's somebody that's part of our network as well, which I think is great. But I digress. So what we're trying to do with the schedule is come up with themes for every month that would match what's happening with our work and sort of cut across all of the strands of our work at the center. So we expect to be able to make an announcement soon about a new project that will be kicking off in 2021 around CTE, transfer pathways, which is not something we've talked much about, but I'm very excited about this work. And our hope is, as I said, that we'll be able to, you guys are getting a teaser, if you will.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm not
don't share. Don't share.
I know.
We don't know
I'm
yet.
I'm going to get fired every time we have a public meeting. I'm just waiting to get the notice that I'm no longer employed. But in any case, our hope is that all of that falls into place, and then we would be able to maybe choose CTE as a focus for January. So if there's any ideas you have for salient topics that we could discuss on Twitter. So that's the thing, right? The Twitter discussion is a little different than just having a webinar about this or whatever. One of the things that I'm trying to be more intentional about is bridging the scholar to practitioner divide, and considering, because a lot of scholars use Twitter to promote their work. So considering if we could find a really good research article or a book or something, and then invite that author or those scholars that worked on that to be our featured guests during the tweet chat, so that it would give our network folks, and those of you on the digital leadership circle or whatever we're calling this, would have the chance to interact with that person directly through Twitter, and then we could do some discussion that way. To me, that just slightly tweaks what we've been doing with the Twitter chats. So far, they've been a little bit more just y'all come and we talk about whatever, and that's fine. I'm happy to keep doing that, but I think it would be interesting to do something like a scholar focus or something like that. But we also love doing best practices. So if we could engage more folks from your campuses or your campus handles, this is something that's going to be important to me, I think, as we move forward. We have had some good success with a few campuses being able to engage with their social media people. So Jackson, I think, had one incident where their person was able to come and tweet from the Jackson College account. I know GRCC has done a little bit of engagement with their Twitter handles as well. So we want to keep talking to all of you guys, but we would love it too if you have friends in the communication space at your campus if they would like to participate somehow, and we could highlight some of the work that's being done on your campuses. So we also want to, I am very interested in doing something for Black History Month in February, and we may have a new publication coming out that would focus on transfer, and so I would love to make the case for transfer as a racial justice issue. That is a strand that underlies my dissertation work, so I think that I could come up with some stuff for that as well. And then in March, it's Women's History Month. So also, I'm really interested in women in the leadership pipeline for community colleges. And so that is something that I've considered as far as themes go. Does anybody have any reactions or other ideas you'd like to share?
Katie?
Yeah.
What do you think would be the most proper way, just to inform people on our campuses, just of Twitter activities? Do you think probably, just an email, just to everybody, just of this opportunity, or probably selected people whom do you think they would contribute, just to the Twitter activity? I'm thinking, just of how, I mean, I know about the activity because I'm involved directly, with MCCA.
Right.
But I don't know about others, and they could have some valuable, just input,
yes.
just
so,
to the
so
activity.
100%.
So what we typically do there every week, the MCCA sends a board report that goes to the president and the board representative from MCCA, and there are some other people who receive the board report, and I can't remember who they are. This is something we constantly talk about in the association, is how to get more people to receive this information. But what we can do is the blurb that goes in the board report, we can send to all of you, and you can share it with your networks. And we share them, typically we share the board report information also with the chief academic officers. They're a primary conduit for our communication efforts, but we're always, I mean, we to your point, Sam, I would ask all of you to think about like who on your campus maybe should be receiving this information and what's the best way for them to receive it or find it. Because it's true. I mean, we have so many, and we hear this a lot, and haven't really been able to solve it. We have so many things to offer, and certain people hear about all of them, and certain of you are receiving multiple emails from me or from Katie all the time, and then some people who maybe could use the information are not able to get it, and I just don't know what to do about that.
Jenny, we have 4 schools on our campus, and I will we have a newsletter, just each month that comes out. So I will make sure, like, this opportunity, just going to be advertised, in our monthly, just a newsletter.
Oh, great.
Like
That'd be great.
Newsletter and other schools. So that would be a good venue, just to.
Yes. And if you need help with the messaging, let us know. I'm working with our PR people this vendor that we work with, to create a graphic that would kind of be an invitation of sorts, and that would probably be easy to forward out. And so I just put the LinkedIn. Oh, you know what? That's probably not the right. I'm really bad at the LinkedIn stuff. Here we go. I need to give you a different link. Sorry, I gave you my admin link. You're not going to be able to get to the admin spot, but we just created the LinkedIn page. We have done almost nothing with it, but part of the thought of doing the graphic was to kind of announce the presence on LinkedIn. That's where we would love your help getting people to connect with us, because I'm sure your colleagues are there. I went through and found most of our colleges represented on LinkedIn, and just letting people know to join our group. We created a group basically. And my vision for LinkedIn right now is primarily going to be discussive, or they have a blog feature. And so those of you who are interested in being part of our little digital leadership circle, you will be asked to be a featured blogger on our LinkedIn group, because that to me is what we're trying to do. We're trying to aggregate. This is the network, right? Like we want to bring people together who are committed to and interested in student success. So this would be where, if we selected CTE as our theme for January, then we would have a blog post on LinkedIn that fits that theme, in addition to our Twitter Tuesday, which is going to be the last Tuesday, as Jenny said, that would also encompass the theme. And then we may have some other strategies that we will be doing. But once that graphic is complete, I've asked for it by the end of the year so that we could blast it out in the early parts of 21. and it will include the dates for the tweet chats as well as the links for our profiles on both Twitter and LinkedIn. And then April is Community College Month. So we are also, I won't go much farther out than that because we haven't done a lot of planning, but Erica has indicated an interest in developing some sort of toolkit that we would be able to share with the colleges so that your social media folks may also be able to plug and play with some of that. We had some success doing that in October for the National Transfer Student Week.
We did,
We kind of co-branded their national stuff with the My Transfer stuff, and it was nice. So we may try to do something similar for Community College Month. Erica was thinking that we could do the research focus then. I would love to focus on students during that month, or maybe doing something with this NCC stigma campaign, because it's gotten a lot of traction and it won't go away. So to me, that's a wonderful time to kind of amplify that message. I see some people nodding their heads, so that's cool. We all love that. It's the right message, I think, too. And if we could get students involved in helping amplify that message and amplifying their message of success. Okay, I'm seeing lots of heads bobbing. Good. So Lindsay and Sheila are going to help me with this. This is great.
Yeah, I actually think, on my campus, I'd love to see us engage our PR group with that and helping to not only amplify the message, but get students engaged and involved in doing a takeover and things like that. So I think that's a really good one.
Okay, great. So I will, for those of you that indicated an interest, I will try to schedule a call for us, probably early in 21, not before the holidays here. But then we can do some noodling on some of that, because getting your input on what will work or what might be useful to your campus colleagues will be really helpful. Other ideas? Anything you guys think we should do to mix it up? Jenny, I don't know. I've already taken too much time probably.
No, you're fine. I think we're okay, because everything is shrinking down as we get to the end. So
okay. Keep tweeting.
We have talked about a little bit about this DEI listening session. I think, kind of, is there more that we want to cover about this, Katie, or have we said what we need to say?
I think that's it. And again, this is not us trying to create something new or tell anybody what to do. It's really, truly us wanting to listen and connect. And then some of these folks, it would be great to engage with them in these digital spaces as well. So there could be opportunities to do tweet chats that are focused on these topics if people are on Twitter, and the LinkedIn stuff as well, to be able to do a spotlight on DEI work, or have folks, if they're interested, take over and do the blog. So the thing about LinkedIn, they don't actually have to do a takeover. They can do it from their own account, but then it goes into our group somehow. I'll have to talk to the digital elves about that, but that's how I understand it happening. But that's the kind of thing that we mean. We want to just overlap anytime we can, and share ideas. I know, Lewis, you and I had a good conversation at one of the meetings this year about what's happening on your campus and how valuable it might be to hear about what's happening on other campuses in this space, and sharing resources and facilitators or books that are being read to facilitate conversations, that kind of stuff. Again, that's not our place to say, but it's definitely, I could see that being really useful as far as cross-cutting through the network. And I've already gotten a couple of emails, and I'm getting more chats from people. So thank you. I started a spreadsheet to try to make a list of those of you who have people in this role. So thank you for all of that.
Great. And thank you all for responding so quickly. And thank you for responding to Katie, because she is the best organizer on this little miniature team of her and me.
We all have our roles to play.
We do. So the final thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is largely about math. We are going to have a support group for leaders who are leading developmental math reform on campus. I think those of you who were part of the conversations either with Guided Pathways or Developmental Ed heard more than maybe you wanted to about the upcoming Michigan Reconnect language and the requirements. And I heard a lot that people were struggling with getting traction on math for a variety of different reasons. And so we're going to have this kind of support group where I'm running it through the CAOs. The CAOs have reached out, I think, to people, and this is a group this is going to be a session for people who are leading these efforts. This is not, as I said, this is not where you send your math faculty who are being resistant or reluctant to try this. This is for people who are attempting to lead these efforts or who are successfully leading these efforts to talk about how we can nudge people along and really start to get some traction. We're currently selecting the date in late January. I have about half the people I think that need to respond have responded. So it'll be, and so I'd like to invite those of you who have an interest in math reform to, and your role in this would probably be listening. And unless you are in fact leading a math reform on your campus, and then you can you might want to contribute. But I think, what I want to do is for the, I'm picturing that there'll be at least two of these sessions. Allison from SOVA is going to help to facilitate them, and we're going to kind of hear what the issues are, and we're hopefully going to be able to provide some more clarification as the state gets more clear about what they want. How they are interpreting the language that I have attempted to interpret for them. So anyway, this is going to be another opportunity, so stay tuned, as I just wanted to put that on your radar.
Jenny, I will be sending all of my math faculty to this event because they are all being resistant.
No, don't send the resistant faculty. Don't send the resistant faculty, Bev. Send the leaders, and then we'll talk about the resistant faculty.
I'm sending them all.
No, don't send resistant faculty.
No, please no. I love it. You're like, I don't care. I'm sending everybody.
I saw actually that you have several of your faculty signed up, Bev. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. Any other questions about this? And then so I'll keep continuing to keep you informed of this. This is like another opportunity to kind of pull mentors into the conversation, because I mean, I do think people, they get such a lot out of hearing from people who are doing the work on the ground, which is what all of you are doing. So
Jenny, is there a list on the website where I can see if my math faculty have signed up?
So they have, so you shouldn't, your faculty, do not tell your faculty to sign up.
Oh, okay. You
don't tell your faculty to sign up. The CAO should be disseminating this to the people who are leading the reform. That's because this the key is, this is not going to be a presentation of data about why you should do it. This is not going to be case making. This is going to be, let's get down and dirty and talk about why people aren't doing this and what we can do to help them do it.
Yep. So the audience really for this are the champions who are already in, who are having to deal with all of the resistant faculty, Beverly, that you're talking about. So it's about providing support and space for people leading the work, or influencers who are already on board with this, but are facing resistance from faculty or struggling with all the things that one struggles with when they do this complicated work.
Right, and we will, I'm sure, generate out of this ideas for how we can do some case making from our end, from the MCSS end, and what we can do to be more effective. And I think we will have opportunities for faculty. This is just for general faculty. This is just not that opportunity. This is not that opportunity. This is for leaders. Finally, I went ahead and scheduled another touch point. I got feedback from some people that mornings don't work, so I tried afternoon for this one. I have little faith that we will ever get everyone on the same call, but we're going to give it another shot. I went ahead with, so about 3 months from now, on March 8th at the end of the day, we will have another touch point. We will be in the midst of all of these other things where we'll be seeing each other. And I'll also keep you informed over email for those people who are not able to be with us in person, even virtually. And that does bring me to a final point that we meant to touch on, which is there's a lot of information to communicate, not just with the general campus, but even with you guys. And I know I had a little conversation with Sam earlier in the SOA thing where he had to make a folder for emails from me in his Outlook. And so we are talking about how to aggregate information for mentors. We do have that Canvas site. Canvas is clunky, but it's one of the best things that we have so far. And we also are thinking about having a page for mentors on our website, but that's not so much to keep all of the information that you guys need as for there to be information on the web about you guys and what you do. And so we are noodling around with, and this kind of then kind of puts the dog's tail in its mouth and noodles back to the role of mentors and things like that. But should we create a page on our website that identifies you guys and your areas of expertise or interest? And I feel like that's a big ask for volunteers, but to make that publicly available that you do that. But what do you guys think? Do you want that? Do you not want that? We're back and forth.
Maybe you could have it linked to our LinkedIn profiles.
Ooh, Lindsay.
It's a nice idea.
Yes.
And
yes.
I don't know that I would want to put your direct email addresses out there. But
no,
we
the
could
LinkedIn
encourage,
profiles. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Or people could contact Jenny or I if they wanted more information on engaging with mentors. We did consider whether you would want your pictures out there. Most of you have your pictures on your campus websites anyway. And then the other thing is that it would be embedded. So it would not be like right up on the homepage. It would be, I'm thinking of creating a network engagement page that would link off from our initiatives page. And so it would not be like in a hover down that anybody could get to. They would kind of need to know what they're looking for, or we would be sending it out directly in that regard.
I like the LinkedIn profile idea.
Yeah, or your Twitter profile too. That would be cool. If you're interested in sharing that. Does anyone hate this idea or would not want? We could do a double check too. I think Jenny, when she asked you about mentoring, you maybe alluded to this and you guys added some detail or perhaps even shared photos at that time.
I have a survey where people have put little bios. I just haven't done anything with them yet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. People seem okay. But you always have the right of refusal, especially about your image. Nobody's required to put an image up. So if that's a concern, don't worry about it.
So that was a lot of information. Thank you all for staying engaged, hanging in there with us. I will send a follow-up email with the slides. Watch for a flurry of invitations as soon as I get some dates solidified. And hopefully we'll hear from JFF and reach back out to us. I know some of you are doing it already. Let us know on any of the things that we asked you about. And first and foremost, don't forget to go to the spreadsheet and put in the goals that you want to follow up on with the colleges. So I'll leave you with that as my last thought. And also keep calm and enjoy the winter break. It's coming. It's coming.
I get one for the first year ever.
All right.
We finally joined the rest of the state and we're closing between the Christmas holiday and New Year's. So
thank goodness.
It's going to be a whole new world. I know, seriously, man. It's only been 10 years.
I'm hanging on. I'm like clawing my way through.
We call it Army crawl. It's the Army crawl time.
Yep, it
my
is.
Poor kids.
It is.
I'm like, every day I'm like, you guys got this. We can do this. There's only 2 more weeks of virtual school. We can do it.
Please tell that to my mountain of grading.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
All right. Well, thank you all. We're finishing 3 minutes early. So thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, guys.
Hang in there and we'll talk to you soon.
Guys
Bye.
are awesome.
Thanks.
Hi,
You guys are
Isaac.
awesome.
Bye,
Thank
Isaac.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.